I'm not doing an intro this time. I am not gonna do a goddamn intro about this. This is sadly, for my opinion and for my health, is where we're gonna start. I am sorry, man. I just cannot take this anymore. I think this is where I think this is where the end of the rope comes in, and this is pretty much where I literally decided that I cannot watch this anymore. Unfortunately, I have to suffer because, of course, we have to face Chelsea next. And I'm talking about Man United, not Manchester City. Before I'm going to get my Man United whipping and, of course, my annual screaming and shouting, which I can't because it's 8 minutes to 8 on this September 15, 2025 at the time of recording this. I have to give Manchester City their due. I have to give my rivals their due. And let's be honest, they played like the desperate team, need this win more than Man United, who has won. Yes, Hakeem, a grand total of 8 games under the new manager. They do. City were, I would say the word, not as dominant in most cases in the game. They have not played great in most of them, but consider they've lost the last 2 games to, of all teams, Brighton and Tottenham. They needed this win. They needed this win in the worst way possible. And Jeremy Doku gets the entire game started, of course, around the 18 minutes. In fact, the first 20 seconds, you know how bad it is. 20 seconds in, and Haaland almost scored a goal. And for like the first 15 minutes, United had played some decent football, of course, getting some shorts, didn't just get some few chances. It's like, okay, at least it's something. At least it's something they do. And then Jeremy Doku, and I got on my Jeremy Doku for a little bit, weaving and turning and making people look absolutely silly. Got the cross block first time, and then crossed the ball again, and then headed into Mancunian boy Phil Foden, who hasn't done much in the last couple of games. Let's be honest, he has done nothing much in the last couple of games. Scored a goal and put Manchester City 1 down. Now, the way this game has been going on, you're thinking United, okay, you're 1-0 down at halftime. You're fine. It is absolutely fine. Well, here's the problem. It's not actually fine because the second half, it was the Erling Haaland show. And I'm not talking about Erling Haaland in the offense, although these 2 goals pretty much, showcase Haaland's brilliance at goal. By the way, 128 goals and 150 appearances he has in all competitions. That is an 86% goal rate in appearances. It's ridiculous. But no, that's not the reason why Haaland was absolutely special. What makes Haaland even special was his defense. Blocking headers, getting out of the field, all this kind of stuff. The little things. It's the little things that makes him great. You know, and he would deserve the man of the match. He scored 2 goals. Jeremy Doku was also impressive, of course. The second goal was pretty much like brilliant football, of course, tiki-taki, all this kind of stuff, a little bit of passing, of course. Haaland showing the strength and then just blasted in. And then the third goal was just kind of like a looping over, of course. Bernardo Silva just looping over. Everybody was thinking, oh, it was offside, but it didn't. And then it rolls in, and that's 3-0. And United put some decent chances. They did some chances, of course. Buemo is pretty much, I'm going to say this right now, the only good thing that happened to Man United all across these matches. He put some decent saves. He put some chances, of course. Ungarde is actually good. Kobe Maidu, who came in there and actually done well. And that was it. I kind of turned off my TV at that time. Actually, no, I did not turn off my TV. I decided to watch football, when the Bills actually creamed the Jets, let's be honest. And that was it. I was mentally faded away after this one. So let me just say this. City needs this win badly because, of course, their next game is against Arsenal. And that's a huge game, by the way. It's an absolute huge game. Well, that and facing Napoli and Kevin De Bruyne return in the Champions League. That's also a huge game. That will be during the midweek. But, and I say in the word but, they need this win in the worst possible way imaginable because they were thinking, oh, they cannot score goals. They are not great at defense and all kinds of stuff. And you're thinking to you, and listen, here as a sadly a United fan at this point. I think City needed this win more than United in my cases. I think they have won this game through decent football and skills to incredible goals by probably the best player ever, probably the best number 9 ever in the Premier League, in my opinion. And they just won the game. You got to give Pep Guardiola his due. He's desperate. He needed to win. He got the best performance you can ever got. And I'm not saying that Man City are perfect in any kind of way. There are flaws in this team, of course. There are still flaws in this team. But the difference between Man United and Manchester City is pretty much night and day. They got a quality number 9. They didn't. They got some decent players in midfield. They didn't. They got a world-class goalkeeper who can make brilliant good shot stops like Donnarumma did against Wemo. United not even close. And I decided to do a little bit of stats, of course. Yeah, I decided to do some stats. And unfortunately, this is where my Man United gripe is coming. So let me just see if we can pull it up. Yeah. So there you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where my Man United gripe succeeds. And if you are watching this right now, this is the record of Ruben Amorim and Man United management. 31 games, 8 wins, 7 draws, and 16 defeats with a minus 13. Yes, a minus 13 goal difference with a win ratio of 26%. And I just realized, you know, the thing is that this reminds me of Angeball's at Tottenham Hotspur last season, in which he has a system, he has a play style, and he's going to stick to that play style come hell and high water. And it only took the one match that absolutely matters in the Europa League final against, ironically enough, Man United, to actually become a little bit flexible and actually become a little bit pragmatic. And guess what? It got the job done. Now, my Uncle Michael is pretty much watching this video and must be thinking to myself, oh, Hakeem, I seen this movie before, and trust me, it reflects to Tottenham. It reflects to Tottenham the same way. So, I mean, let's be honest. It is what it is. It's over for him. It is literally over for him. It is over for him to the point of like, you have to get him out. You just have to get him out. And listen, this is not against him in my shape or way. The dude is a good manager. Listen, the dude that we got is a good manager. And we, as the community, as a Man United community, have to we got to stick to him. You know, if we sack him right now, which manager is going to come in? Well, here's the kicker. I hope the manager coming in is way better than 8 wins, to be honest. And have a system that can fit the players. Because let's be brutally honest. Trying to get Ugarte, Casemiro, and then, Fernandez and Kobe Maido in a 2 midfield lineup is not going to work. Defending is not great. Goalkeeping is not great. And Sesko is becoming instantly coming from, a new signing that we're trying to save Man United to become an instant zero and a scapegoat for everything that is going on with Man United in one fell swoop. And normally I'll be angry and smash my keyboard and becoming swear words, but I decided I am old enough to realize that all this shouting and screaming is not going to save Man United from. I can't believe I'm going to say these words, but they're going to be relegated. Man United is going to be officially relegated from the Premier League, and if that happens, would I be sad? Yeah, I'll be sad, but I will not be surprised in the slightest because look at the table right now. Look at the absolute table that we have right now. Just look at this table. It is grim. We are below Brighton and Brentford, for God's sakes. And Fulham. In fact, the only thing that's keeping up is West Ham being absolutely not so great, except for that one win against Forest. We'll get to Forest later. Villa, who can't even score a goal. And Wolves, who have probably the worst start in all of professional football history. at that point. So that's pretty much the only thing that could come up. Burnley are doing fine and decent, but got crueled so badly, not only against us, but against Liverpool. Leeds are Leeds got crueled, of course, yesterday against Fulham, and then Forest are kind of like they're in the you fear for them team because they lost their manager, their ownership becoming bigger than themselves, and that's it, pretty much it. And the worst thing about it, that Tottenham Hotspur, the team that went to the finals of the Europa League and decided to change their manager, decided to get a better manager, and look at them. They're 9 points from 12. Their only defeat was against, of all teams, Bournemouth, who, by the way, in the top 4, of course. And they're decent, of course. But you look at a manager who changed the system, who never goes on social media that much, who never have that pressure, of course. And yeah, you can say that Tottenham, it's a big club in most cases, of course. But at least you can say that, okay, at least you have a manager who have no pressure and nothing to lose and all kinds of stuff. For Ruben, it almost feels like he has everything to lose. If you lose one time, the entire Vultures will come in, and you can hear everything till the cows come home. And I just can't right now. I just can't. I feel like I'm mentally spent on this team. And I'm not saying forever. No, God no. I'm still holding on hope. I'm just saying until situation has changed. Until United has been consistently winning, which unfortunately for Ruben Amorim has not done since frickin' January of this goddamn year, then I just don't see this happening. We can't even string 2 games in a row. We lost to a 4th-tier team in the EFL Cup. Now, I'm not saying winning the EFL Cup is a huge deal, but to lose to that, oh, no, guys. No. It's a huge deal. It is an absolute huge deal. There is no European football. We are broke as heck. And now we're stuck with a stubborn manager who can't even change a simple formation. Like, dude, have you not learned 4-3-3? Like, come on, I played that game on FIFA, for God's sakes, and got more wins than that. Or any person with a brain who plays Football Manager can play 4-3-3 and actually do decently well. Any manager in the world can do that. And I think the stubbornness and the fact that this team is not doing well and the absolute crappery by the fans, by the media, by everybody else is going to make this thing even worse than it already seems. And the problem is right now, if you sack him right now, then no one will come no one wants to manage Man United. Because every single manager is going to be tapped in by Man United saying, hey, you're going to be the manager that will save Man United and bring home the glory. And I just realized, my parents told me so many times is to never put pressure on yourself. And brother and sister, that is way too much pressure on yourselves. You're putting pressure on the players, you're putting pressure on the fans, you're putting pressure on every single thing. And look, let's be honest, even the win against Burnley does not feel great. We had to rely on a penalty to even win that game. Like, I have not seen Man United perform great in the last couple of years. In fact, when was the last time Man United have put up some incredible, a 4-0 win, a 3-0 win, an impressive win that makes you feel like, okay, that's the team that is going to be decent this year? I haven't. I sadly haven't. I haven't seen, a performance that makes you feel like we have hope. Because right now, I'm just giving up hope right now. I'm just giving up. I'm just literally throwing a towel at this point. And the problem is that we have no choice because the next thing, of course, we have to face Chelsea. And then, of course, we have to face Liverpool down the road. And then here's the kicker. He's not going to make it past Thanksgiving. Or better yet, he's not going to make it past October at this rate. And the problem is that who you going to bring in? You got literally nobody to bring in. You got literally nobody to bring in. Like, you already burned Jose Mourinho. You already burned Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You lasted longer than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You bring in Louis van Gaal, who was a winner, won an FA Cup, but unfortunately his football was absolutely boring. You bring in a manager that was supposed to be the next Ferguson in Moyes, but it did not work out. And, oh, by the way, Everton are above us. Yeah, Everton above us. Marvelous. With Moyes as the manager. Marvelous. So, you have gone to, let's check notes, 7 different managers in the last couple of years. Well, Liverpool only have 2 managers, and Manchester City only have the same amount of managers. And they're more successful than you. And Arsenal kept the same manager for the last 5 years. But yes, I know he didn't win a Premier League, but at least you brought us stability and winning. See, that's the thing that really hurts me. I don't care about tactics and formations and players, of course. I want wins. Just give me the goddamn wins. Like Liverpool right now. Look at them. They have not performed pretty good. They have not performed pretty well. But guess what? 12 points from 12. That's winning. And unfortunately, and by the way, this is Arne Slot's like 42nd game as a Premier League manager. He has won more games as a Premier League manager than like any Man United manager have in the last like 5 years. That's just absolutely sad. That is absolutely brutally sad. So I don't know, man. Listen. I'm ready for championship football. I know. I know this sounds like crazy talk to you. This sounds like kind of thing. I'm ready for championship football. I just cannot see us doing well in the Premier League. Like, look at us. We're literally in the same position as last season. We're all thinking, hey, United should improve. They could hey, they get the players that they wanted up front. They should improve. All that jazz. They're doing great. And it's like, nope, Hakeem. No, Hakeem. This is the definition of insanity. Is doing the same thing over and over and over again until something changed. We are literally the definition of insanity. We just keep doing the same things over and over again, and we, as a community, has been more of a knee-jerk reaction. Of course, we trying to become patient. We did not. We trying to find a manager and give them time. We did. We kind of did, but we kind of did not. It just feels like this is the end of the rope for me, and I just don't know. And now we're coming in at 12 years since we won a Premier League title. Like Arsenal are closer to even breaking their drought with Arteta than Man United has in any manager. Like, Arsenal have not won a Premier League title for 20 plus years, and yet they are closer enough to win a Premier League title. At least when Arsenal have not won titles with Arsene Wenger, at least they're decent. At least they're winning at least they got fourth place and be decent and be consistent. At least they're consistent. We have not been consistent in ever. In terms of wins, in terms of management, in terms of formation, in terms of performance, we have not. And I can't believe I'm going to say these words, but Manchester City are better than us. Every single team below them, or every single team above us, are better than us. And Gary Neville is right. We're average. We're freaking average. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this whole thing, plain and simple. I'm not going to sugarcoat this whole thing. I think it is time for Man United to face facts and just realize we're a championship club. We're a championship club. I mean, Wrexham is in the championship right now, so I think you could say, "Hello, Wrexham. How are you? Hey, Ryan Reynolds. Hey, you. I mean, can you tell us about the championship football, all kind of stuff? Tell us about playing 46 games, playing midweek matches, midweek and then weekend matches, all kind of stuff. Can you tell us, of course? Oh, and we brought in some players that are not even high. We can't even pay with high wages, and pretty much like that. I know. Sound pessimistic. Listen, I'm sounding pessimistic, and that's fine. But right now, this is 13 years of pessimism coming right down in the front. Like Jamaica's about to qualify for a freaking World Cup. It's going to be the best thing that happened to me. Not Man United's shitty performance. No, God, no. It's Jamaica going to World Cup. It's Jamaica winning a gold medal in 100 meters. That's the only thing that kept me happy, of course, yesterday. It's Jamaica winning 100 meters. That's the only thing that kept me happy. This is not making me happy. This is not making me happy right now. And by the way, here's the kicker right now. There is a banner and a sign, of course, in Premier League that's saying that, to prevent suicide, things that are happening right now. I bet you're gonna do that for every Man United fan. You gotta have to if you are the Samaritans right now. If you are the Samaritans, by the way, if you are like a Samaritans or the Suicide Hotline League right now, and yes, I know I said the S word. I should not say that, but if you are someone who wants to oh, that person's gonna jump off a ledge. Oh wait, he's a Man United fan. Okay, leave him alone. You let him suffer. Let him suffer. It's I just can't. I just cannot take this manager and I cannot take this team anymore. And I think if you lose to Chelsea, and listen, I know Chelsea have not performed decently well, of course, but at least Chelsea are fine. I think Chelsea are fine. This is if Chelsea beat Man United 6 or 7-0, you got to cut your losses. And the problem is right now, you don't have a manager that can save them. So right now, it's all right. You know what Ruben Amorim said, of course, yesterday when Man United was in a Premier League relegation dogfight? Here it is. Literally the same thing that Everton has gone through a couple of years ago. And they were decent and fun, but that's Everton. That's Everton's situation. This is you. Imagine Man United being relegated from Premier League football. My God, BBC will be breaking this news till the cows come home. Forget about, government UK situation. Let's talk about how Man United being relegated from Premier League football and talk about the historical nature and the financial downfall will happen. It will be breaking news across everybody. And you know what? Every single Manchester City fan, Liverpool fan, and every single Arsenal fan will be cheering this like it's the greatest thing that ever happened since England won the World Cup. Man United being relegated will be the biggest thing that ever happened since England winning the World Cup. And you know what? I will not be surprised about that. I will join in your pity party if I have to. So no, I am not surprised that Manchester City won that game, and I'm not surprised that Man United are looking like absolute crap right now with the same manager, with the same stubborn system, and I don't think it can change. I don't think Man United will ever change. I think they'll be like this for the rest of our lives. Hell, listen, you know how the Cubs finally now winning the World Series in 108 years? I will bet you right now that will be the same thing with Man United right now. They'll go 180 years, will never win. I will die before Man United even win a Premier League title. Until my hair goes gray and all kind of stuff, Man United will never win a Premier League title. They'll be like Benfica, who would never win a European title, of course. It will be like that, man. They will never win a title until something changed. Until the culture has changed, until the players have changed, until everything single thing has changed. It is not a formation problem, it is not a tactics problem, it is not a huge problem with players and all kinds of stuff. And the financial money, like let's be brutally honest, Bruno should have been sold to Saudi Arabia. Listen. He was the best thing to ever happen to Man United players last year. But let's be honest, man, $100 million to try to improve that squad, improve that defense, improve that goalkeeper would have been a lot more helpful than all of this. Like look at Liverpool, they sold the Coutinho money and got Alisson and Van Dijk, and look at them now. Look at them now. They have winning titles and all that jazz. Me? We can't even do anything right now. We can barely have to afford the money to even brought a tip-toe top stadium. And our owner looking at absolute crap to the point that the Glazers are even looking like a competent managed ownership right now. Like, come on, man. Come on. This has been going on too long. It is time for me to realize that Man United football, it is not worth my mental health. My mental health should be, placed in somewhere, but not in this club. I invested too much stress in this club. Okay, move on before I'm going to go ape crap on all of this. Liverpool versus Burnley. And my goodness, this is the most cruelest way to ever lose a game. This is literally how Liverpool won this game. It's beyond me. If you're Burnley, just look at the stats. You can't even 0.13 to 2.65 with an 81-19% percentage. I was so rambling right now that I haven't looked at the Manchester City United stats. But I don't even want to bother right now. I just don't want to bother. And if you're burning right now, you just don't want to bother looking at this situation and just like, hey, we're playing for a draw. We're playing 5 at the back. We're doing absolutely well. We're holding on. And oh my goodness, McAllister got injured, and Connor Bradley, of course. Alex McAllister got a little bit of brutal tackle, but of course, move on. And then, they're holding on. They're going to the 75-minute. They're banging chances. And, Leslie Ugoju got a second red card, of course. Yeah, he got a yellow card at 60-minute and then got red carded with about 6 minutes ago. Now, you're thinking to yourself, okay, Akeem, Liverpool should surely win this game, right? Surely they win this game. Oh, no, Akeem, the 86th minute, of course, 87th minute, nothing much. And then, of course, they bring in substitutions, of course. They bring in the Rio Nagomo guy, who's, by the way, 17 years old. And then you think to yourself, okay, they surely win this game right now. Surely they win the game. And then right around extra time, it's the absolute cruel play, of course. The absolute cruel play. Let me just give you the commentary. Of course. Yeah. So, Liverpool have been awarded a penalty. Frimpong's cross strikes Hannibal's arm, and Liverpool get the penalty. Yes, kids, his last name is actually Hannibal. Like Hannibal Lecter from like The Silence of the Lambs. Or, in the weirdest case, his name is consistent with a hand. And he just, pun intended, handed Liverpool the absolute win. And Salah, he has a bad game. Trust me, he did not have a great game in the course. But when you give an opportunity to a team like Liverpool, and when you give an opportunity to Mo Salah, he just cannot miss. Penalty, top corner, game over, Liverpool wins. Just absolute freaking cruelty. The cruelest way to absolutely lose a game. Or the cruelest way to even not get a point. Let's be honest. This is not the second game in a row that Burnley have a chance to even get a draw. The United game and the Liverpool game, and they get absolutely nothing for it. Nothing. That's just absolutely cruel. One, by controversial circumstances, of course. The other is like, I don't think so, man. The brother put his arm up and it just in the penalty. So I just have no arguments. I have no arguments in that. That was a penalty every day of the week. So, yes, Liverpool have not played their best A game or their best S game in like a long while. 4 games in, and they have not played their incredible best. You can say that, well, the Burnley game, they have more chances, of course, opportunities. But in terms of like incredible performance, like your Arsenals and your Tottenham Hotspurs in the world, they have not put up some incredible performances. But here's the one thing that do matters right now. Liverpool are 12 points from 12. And by the way, they got the Merseyside derby coming up, which I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, 6th place versus 1st place in a Merseyside derby. What is this? And it's like, yeah. And by the way, that'll be the first game of the Premier League calendar on the 20th of September, by the way. That'll be the very first game. By the way, Akeem, here's the matches, of course, this week. You got the Merseyside derby, you got Chelsea versus Man United, and of course, you got Arsenal and Manchester City. 3 big games on one weekend. Enjoy the first day of fall, everybody, and the 21st night of September. Earth, Wind, and Fire style. That's just my jazz. But Liverpool have not played their best football, and now they're 12 points from 12. So at this point, you must be thinking to yourself, is this a team of destiny? Is this a team that can actually BS their way to a Premier League championship? Kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs right now, who, oh, by the way, they're 0-2 and cannot rely on BS to even win. Is it that happening? Well, if that happened, well, I think you can say that if you're Liverpool, you're running your luck. And I'm not saying it's going to last that long, because the moment you might be losing a game or two, it's just like, oh, yeah, we knew they're frauds. And Arsenal are going to come back and bite their and chop in their teeth, of course. But of course, they have a big game against Manchester City as well, so that's not an easy game, of course. I don't care how Manchester City form right now. You see what they did in Manchester United. I think they can do that. So Liverpool have their work cut out, of course, and they need to have a better performance. And I'm not sure they can have a better performance against an Everton team that is decently good, of course. Yeah, they draw. Yeah, they drew against Aston Villa. Jack Grealish didn't get an assist. Whoop-de-doo. But right now, they are looking decently fine, of course. Everything are looking decently fine, of course. And they go into the derby with, like, bad intentions. And you know about these derbies game. You know about these derbies. Unlike the one we have yesterday, there are going to be some bad blood between these two. Okay, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest. The team that are on 2nd place is Arsenal. And, Zubimendi was absolutely balling right now. He was balling. He put up an incredible shot outside the box and then made it a header, which, by the way, he scored only 2 goals last season, all with Real Sociedad. He has matched that total from last season into 1 game. I bet you Zubimendi will never have like 2 goals of this incredible quality ever again. Like, he never have a long shot, from like 30 yards ever again in his entire life. Like, that was an amazing shot. And the header was actually good as well. Victor Gyökeres, of course, being Victor Gyökeres, finish it off. Quality finish. Like, if you're Man United right now and you've seen Rasmus Højlund actually scored a goal in Napoli, and you see, like, Scott McTominay actually balled it out, you must be thinking to yourself, maybe we're the problem. It's not the striker's problem. Maybe we're the problem. Yeah. And, unfortunately for Nottingham Forest, let me just see right now. Okay, Akeem. Let's see. Sports stuff, Premier League, and there you go. Oh, let's just see. Oh, there it is. Let's see. Yep, there it is. Nottingham Forest are officially in the "you fear for them" teams, because if you notice the headline, by the way, this is not Nuno Santo Espinosa. This is Ange Postecoglou being a manager of Nottingham Forest. And let's just say the relationship between Mariacas and Santos is fractured to never be whole again. It has really soured. From the moment he just kind of stepped on the field against Leicester City because of the injury concern and all kinds of stuff, to the whole talk being breaking down, it was going to end one way or another with him being God and Ange Postecoglou being in. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, he won the Europa League title with Tottenham Hotspur. So if you're not enforced, you might be thinking to yourself, hey, we got a winner. We got a winner. At least we got a winner out of that one. And it's like, yeah. You're gonna have some high octane football, which is great for the entertainers, but unfortunately for your defense, it's just not that good. And at least, it's not his fault. I mean, listen, Arsenal are going to win this game anyways, and they're dominating the game. So it's not like, Ange dealt a really bad hand in his very first game, of course. Like, imagine if you are the manager and your very first game was against Arsenal, you'd be like, nah, you cannot win, man. You just cannot win. You just cannot win. And I think to yourself, oh, it's going to get worse before it's going to get better. I think it'll get worse for them. But to come from high expectations, and let's be honest, I don't think Nottingham Forest were ever doing decently well again, just like last season. That's mostly a product of how bad Man United have been and as bad as Tottenham been. And one of the two is doing decently well right now to the point of I do not think Nottingham Forest will get away with it. I think Forest is going to be in a really big dogfight, of course, which I don't think Ange is going to happen. He could be great in the media, of course. He could be absolutely great in the media, but unfortunately, this is where yeah, I just don't see, Forrest doing well in this season. And the stats saying much. I'm not doing anything, of course, other than Odegaard being injured, which is suckish, of course, if you're Arsenal. But here we are, I guess. Let's go to, I think we go to Tottenham versus West Ham. And unfortunately for West Ham, congratulations, you beat Nottingham Forest and all that jazz. But this is yeah, you just got your one great week. You just have your one great week, and then everything went to sour again. And Tottenham just absolutely did the business. Sarr, Bekval, and Van de Ven scoring the goals. Souček get a red card, and it's I didn't even watch the game. I was never even bothered watching the game. This was domination from the start. I mean, it was even, of course. And then from around the 29-minute onwards, it was not so great. And the Souček red card kind of killed the whole game off. They were down 1-0, of course, based on Papa Sarr goal. And then it gets even worse and worse by the absolute hour. And Xavi Simons came into the game, first game, and actually got an assist pretty well. And then Christian Romero actually balled out, of course. Lucas Bergvall actually balled out, actually scored a goal and again assist. And West Ham are in deep, deep crisis mode right now. They're in deep, deep crisis mode. You got your one win because of, Forest pretty much in crisis mode, but that's pretty much it. So nothing much to say. Tottenham got a huge win and a bounce back win after the disappointing loss to Bournemouth, which if you're Tottenham right now, consider everything that got on with losing to Bournemouth and then losing your chairman that you've been there for a decade, of course. You're Tottenham, you might be thinking, they're in crisis mode. I think they'll be fine. I think if you're Tottenham, you might be feeling you know what? Brighter days are ahead, okay? Brighter, clearer days ahead. Unlike me, of course, that is being gloomy and pretty much wanted to, unalive myself. Just saying. You're Tottenham, you must be feeling you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine, Tottenham. You have a decent, good manager. Your team is going to be great. Your team is probably going to be top 4. You're not going to win the Premier League. That's going to be City and Arsenal's problem, of course. But I think you're going to be fine. I think you're going to be fine. Yeah. Not fine are Leeds, who absolutely once again got crueled. In fact, yeah, the Burnley game in Liverpool was cruel enough. In which, okay, you hold on, you play decently well, you defend it, you're about to get a point, and then lost. Gordon Hunston's own goal in the 94th minute of goals against Fulham was absolutely even more cruel because it gave Fulham their first win ever. And let's be honest, the game was kind of even. This game was pretty much even until that. Until the last 10 minutes, in which Fulham could dominate the game, of course, having all the possession of the ball, and then dominate and shooting the goal, and then for the own goal to happen. If it was scored by anybody Fulham related, fine. But to have an own goal, it just hurts. It just absolutely hurts. And if you are Isak, by the way, you're absolutely hurt to realize that Newcastle doesn't want you anymore. Although you were the one who burned your bridges, of course. That's on you. But they don't need you anymore. We don't need you. We got Woldmade. Yeah, Mr. Woldmade. Score up. First goal in the Premier League. First appearance in a Premier League game. And actually scored the winner from a header. And if you're Newcastle, you are seeing brighter, better days. You're doing well. You overcome all the crap that has gone on in the last couple of days. And then you pull up this win against a pretty troubling Wolves team right away. Who, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I think, well, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I have to get off this disgusting stat and give you even more disgusting stats. Because right now, Wolves are in deep, Twinkie fried trouble. They're in deep, deep Twinkie fried trouble. And yeah, let's just see. Okay, there it is. Yeah, this is they have lost their opening 4 games of a league campaign for the first time in their history. It's the 127th year of football. You got to go back all the way to the days that they've made like Europa League finals and doing decently in the Premier League and doing decently in English football way back when. And they don't have a badder start or let me just rephrase my English, a worse start like this. It is just troubling. It is just troubling. Did I have them in my You Fear for Them team? Yeah, I did. I have them in my You Fear for Them team. And you fear for the manager right now because I just don't know if you're going to wrestle like slide. I mean, you lost so many players, of course. Yes, I can give you that. But this is just, it's not looking good, man. It's not looking good. It is not looking good. And it's looking good for Semenyo, who was the game winner, of course, against Brighton in the Battle of the South Coast Beasts. And he scored a penalty, of course. He he made an assist, of course, with Alex Scott's goal. Of course, in sandwich between Carlo Matemo's header equalizer to give them the equalizer. But Semenyo is absolutely balling out right now. He is absolutely balling out. And from the first game against Liverpool, of course, when he got abused by the disgusting Liverpool fans, of course, he has been flying high right now. In fact, let me just pull up another stat about him. There you go. He was brilliant in that game. 53 total touches, 6 in the box, 5 passes in the third, 3 clearances, 3 tackles, 1, 3 successful take-ons, 2 chances created, 2 shots, a goal and assists. He has been brilliant. And if I were him, I would put him in my fantasy team if I want. Although I may have to put him on my fantasy team because he is absolutely brilliant and making this Bournemouth team click. Because right now, if you're a Bournemouth fan, when was the last time Bournemouth had finished 4th place in the Premier League? Or when was the last time Bournemouth had ever been in 4th place at around September in the Premier League? Here's the answer. Never. Not even Eddie Howe can even manage a 4th place team. Areola's team is actually cooking right now in this Premier League. He is absolutely cooking right now in this Premier League. And you know what? Fair play to him. He has gone through all of that stuff, losing some players left, right, and center and all kind of stuff. And look at them. 3 games in a row. They're facing against, Newcastle next. And that's a tricky fixture, of course. That's a really tricky fixture. But listen, I'm not saying that Bournemouth is going to last, at the top 4 that long. I think they'll be in like a Nottingham Forest team that's doing well in the early season and then fall off completely. But for a team like Bournemouth, who was, years ago, let me just remember, years ago, they were like in like the bottom tier of English football, not bottom of the tier, but the 5th tier in English football. Now they're in top 4 in the Premier League table. That's a huge deal if you're a Bournemouth. And if you're a Bournemouth fan, that's a huge deal to, fathom. Maybe I could be a Bournemouth fan. Maybe I could be an AFC Bournemouth fan, consider how bad my club is. Maybe I could be an AFC Bournemouth fan. Oh, I can't? All right, then. Cool. Just let me suffer, of course. Just let me suffer. Okay. Next game, and unfortunately, we have to talk about the 0-0 draws. Crystal Palace versus Sunderland, and I have to give a shout out to one Robin Rolfs, by the way, who played out of his skin yesterday. 55 touches in 6 saves, 4 saves inside the box, 2 high claims, 1.59 goals prevented, and 0 goals conceded. He was out of his mind yesterday. And yeah, Crystal Palace were frustrated, of course. They were frustrated because Robin Reeves was absolutely balling out. They have all the possession. They have all done stuff. They had the more XG, of course. They were doing pretty well. They got everything they wanted. And then it's like, nope, Robin Reeves put on an absolute clinic, of course. And Sutherland, ladies and gentlemen, Sutherland are in a pretty good position. They have been pretty good, of course. 7th place. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, Akeem, 7th place is not great. Now, listen, guys, for a promoted team in the Premier League let's be honest, the promoted teams of the Premier League have not done well this season. Sutherland has done what they needed to do. Take care of your business at home and get some points away from home and get some wins away from home against quality opposition. And if you do that, then I think you can win. I think you can, be safe. You're going to be safe in the Premier League. And I think that was Sutherland, and I think Sutherland are doing what they needed to do. And if you are a Sunderland fan, you are doing absolutely well. Crystal Palace right now have like 3 draws from the last 4. They're undefeated, which is a good news. But they just it's not a slow start from last season, but they have the same amount of goals scored than Brighton, Brentford, and even Man United at Man United and Leeds and Burnley. Yeah, well, they need some creativity, of course. Mateta has that, but I just don't know. And of course, playing Europa League football this week, and this year is not going to help that much. Everton, Aston Villa. Unfortunately for Jack Grealish, he did not get an assist, and unfortunately for Aston Villa, they did not win the game, and unfortunately did not score the goals. This is a problem for them. Yeah, so they have not scored a goal this season. 4 goals conceded, zero goals. And Emmy Martinez, by the way, was brilliant because he's an Argentine goalkeeping World Cup winning goalkeeper. I mean, why not? He is brilliant, of course. But they gotta need to score goals. I mean, you're Aston Villa, for God's sakes. You have been like a decent good club, a good club for like years. And right now your team cannot even score goals, even save themselves. It is troubling, absolutely troubling for myself. Everton, if you are Everton, you got a point. It's fine. I mean, it's not the best result, but I have bad news, of course. You got Liverpool coming up, and you're going to go to Anfield, of course, for pretty much the first Merseyside derby since Everton moved to the new stadium. So it's going to be a really, really long walk from there into like the Anfield Stadium. And it's going to be emotional. Trust me, it's going to be emotional. But Everton's going to be a tough out for so many teams, especially Liverpool, considering Liverpool have not played their best in most recent times. I think they'll be a tough out for them. It will be an absolute tough out for even them. So, yeah, nothing much to say about this game. And unfortunately for Chelsea, they got stung by Brentford, by the way. They got absolutely stung by Brentford. Palmer was literally the reason why Chelsea were kind of like winning the game. After Sade put in the 35th minute, Cole Palmer decided to put on his best superhero cape and absolutely go to work. He got a goal against the João Pedro, and then of course Moses Caicedo scored. Cole Palmer was absolutely brilliant in that game. No, I think ratings wise Caicedo got an 8.1, but Cole Palmer, where is he? I think he was substituted. Yeah, he was substituted. He got a goal, 7.4 rating, and of course, remember he got a little injury, so I don't think he was surprising. He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. And Chelsea were about to win the game. They're about to be in the mix, of course, with the taller challengers of Liverpool and Arsenal, and then Fabio Carvalho, have something to say. Just wrecked the hearts of Chelsea, of course, and played a 2-2 draw. And that is kind of damaging for Chelsea, but not wholly damaging. But the good news is, if you're Chelsea, you're facing Man United this week. Probably the easiest team to beat, and probably the easiest fixture. And Garnacho, by the way, if you're listening to this right now, you might score a goal. In fact, I'm going to predict it right now. I bet Garnacho will score a goal against Man United, and it will be like absolutely miserable around Man United fan base. I will bet you right now that Garnacho will score a goal against Man United. I'll bet you $1. I'll bet you $1,000 if that happens. Not realistic money, but that kind of stuff. So 2-2. Chelsea kind of stumbled, of course, and listen, it's not a bad draw in like the short term, but it considered like how Arsenal are doing and how Liverpool are doing, and I'm not saying Manchester City are back, but how City are doing. A draw long term is going to damage them. And remember, Chelsea were supposed to be like a title favorites, of course, but these kind of results are just not good for them. Not good for them. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the Premier League round 4. Let me just see if I get all the fixtures right. But before that, let's look at the upcoming matches. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the most cracking week of Premier League football you'll ever get to see. First off, you got the Merseyside derby. Always an entertaining game, especially the last time these two teams met was the last game at Goodison Park, and it was absolutely entertaining. Unfortunately, I can't even watch the game because I was in Nantucket at that time, and we don't even have the match on TV. So, I think, if you ever wanted to watch a proper derby match, this is it. This is a huge game, of course, and a huge game for Liverpool because they wanted to keep up winning, of course, and for everything they will love to even get a point or win against their rivals. I don't know when was the last time Everton beats Liverpool at Anfield. It's gonna be a long, long time. It's a long, long time since that happened. And Moyes have not even get the better of Liverpool in most years. I don't think he ever beat Liverpool ever in a long time. So this might be a huge game for both teams. Huge game for both teams. Brighton versus Tottenham, of course. Burnley versus Nottingham Forest. West Ham versus Crystal Palace. Wolves versus Leeds. And then it's the crisis game. Well, not the crisis game. More like the you better beat Chelsea or you're gone by next week kind of game. In fact, I don't know if beating Chelsea next week is going to save Man United because they're already screwed so much so for the last couple of months or couple of years to the point that, oh yeah, you beat Chelsea, congratulations, but it does not do anything much. It's not going to do anything much. And if Chelsea goes in and beat Man United, and let me just tell you something. If Chelsea scored the very first goal against Man United, that means it's gone. They're not going to win. Man United will never going to win. They don't have the mental. They don't have the strength. They don't have the quality to even beat them. And listen, Brian Mbeumo is probably the only good thing that happened right now to Man United. I mean, Brian Mbeumo at least tried to be decent. He's tried to be decent. He's tried to be good. He's decent, but it's just not looking good. So I think I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I have Chelsea winning this game. I have Chelsea winning this game. It hurts me. It hurts me so much. But just like a child, of course, you need to be disciplined in order to learn your lesson. You just need to be disciplined. So yeah, I think Chelsea are going to win this game. Fulham versus Brentford is the late game, of course. It's literally the late game, of course, on a Saturday, of course. And then you got the 21st night of September, actually the 21st day of September, the very first day of fall, by the way, in the equinox. Bournemouth will take on Newcastle, and Sunderland versus Aston Villa, and then you got Arsenal and Manchester City. And my goodness gracious, this is probably a huge game. Yes, I know Manchester City beat Man United, but I don't quote unquote call it a big game anymore. I just don't. Pessimism again, but I just don't. Arsenal Man City is a huge game. We know what Arsenal are capable of. Of course, Arteta faced it against Manchester City. I don't think Arteta have ever beaten Manchester City in his entire managerial career. And you're facing against a Manchester City team that, yes, won against Man United, but I think they have more flaws. I think this will be a gettable game if you are Arsenal. This is a gettable game if you're Arsenal. And if you're Manchester City, a huge win against Arsenal could just really get you back into situations, of course. Here's a little fun fact. Last time a team lost 2 games out of 3 and went on to win the Premier League title was Man United back in the very first season of the Premier League season. The very first year of the Premier League season, Man United have the same situation as Manchester City are right now. So it's not over by a stretch. It's only 4 games in. Long way to go. Long way to go if you are Manchester City. And a win like this against Arsenal will put you right back in the hunt. It will put you right back in the hunt if you do so. So that is how we end the Premier League 5th round, of course, with a huge cracking game, of course. And that's it. That's pretty much the Premier League, of course. But before we go, we have to do 2 more things, a couple of things. We're going to go with the absolute cinema game of the week. And that match, and that one goes to Inter versus Juventus. My Lord, what a game that was. What a game that was. I kind of like, crisscrossing between the West Ham game. Yeah, I was crisscrossing between the West Ham game and this game, of course. And then once West Ham kind of go in the feeble position and got kicked by Tottenham, I was looking forward to this game. And man, oh man alive, what a game that was. What a game that was. Holy cow. You got Lord Kelly with a goal, of course, with an assist, and then Hakan Kalagoglu with an absolute great strike. Then Kenny Ellis with an absolute goal, of course, in the 38 minutes, of course, and then 2-1 at halftime, and you think to yourself, okay, really good, entertaining game so far. Okay, let's get it more entertaining. Hakan Kalou, 2-2, incredible. And then came the absolute insanity, of course. Now, Furman's dad, of course, a famous player, of course, was in the game, of course. He was in the stands watching this game. And he has 2 brothers, of course, Marcos and his, let me just spoil it right now. Kerpren, of course. You got Marcos and Kerpren, of course, in the game. And what they did, of course, in that game? They scored goals. Similar goals, by the way. 2 headed goals, of course, by Marcus Thurman. By the way, I'm doing the celebration, by the way, in case everybody knows it. There you go. That's a celebration. And then Kerpren Thurman saying, right back at you, brother. Scored a goal from a similar situation. By the way, I think this is the first time that 2 brothers have ever scored in a Derby Italia ever in the history of the league. Ever in the history. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, Akeem, this game is already entertaining enough. 3-3, draw game. If you're Juventus, you're doing fine. If you're Inter Milan, you're feeling absolutely pain. Oh, Inter Milan, the pain is not over yet because Visic Adzik with an absolute whirly strike from the top freaking corner. 91st minute, ball game, Juventus win. My goodness, what a game. And what a win for Juventus, who are by the way, second place behind Napoli, who just won, of course, against Fiorentina. I mean, what else? And that's a huge win for them. That's a huge, huge win for them. A huge win for this team. It keeps them. I mean, listen. Let's be honest. Napoli are pretty much the favorites to win Serie A. But considering Juventus have not been great for the last couple of years, since they won like a billion titles, of course, the last couple of years. If you're Juventus, you must be feeling a little happy, of course, with this team. If you're Inter Milan, oh my goodness gracious, this has been brutal. You lost to Udinese at home, and then you lost an absolute throw, and now you're 11th. And let's be honest, this team is just. I mean, remember, they have to freshen up the team, of course. They lost their manager and all that jazz. So I expected nothing much from this Inter Milan team, but just woof. Just woof. Not great. Not great if you're them. And that, I think that should do it. Unfortunately, Akeem, I have some pretty. I decided to, bring some sad news, everybody. So just today, of course, actually yesterday, we as a sporting community and all, of course, all of boxing just lost Ricky Hatton, who died in Manchester in his home, of course, this yesterday. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of sports reference. He is a Manchester City fan, so if you're watching this right now, he's still a Manchester City win, and it'll be fine. Great. But the only couple of things I will say about Ricky Hatton's career is that he fought Mayweather, he fought Pacquiao, and he got blasted. That's pretty much it. But I think that's more of the story, of course. But he was a tremendous fighter. I think he beat Costa Zoo, of course, and upset them and to bring a champion. It was an amazing moment for him. It was an absolutely amazing moment for him. And there was a Sky documentary talking about him, his emotional situation, his headspace, of course. Let's just say the guy has so many problems, and of course, and it's not easy, of course, dealing with all these problems, of course. Mental health is a real serious issue, of course. It's a real serious issue, and we have to take care of it. We have to take care of our minds and all kinds of stuff. And it's not just in the ring that's happening right now. You got to take care of yourself off the ring. You got to take care of yourself with your family and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah. R.I.P. to Ricky Hatton, of course. He is in a good place right now, and I hope, my condolences to you, of course. And pretty much, ironically, on a night, pretty much yesterday, we saw Crawford just absolutely, and yes, I know this is the Premier League, and listen, I know this is a Premier League centric show, and I think this is, and by the way, if you want to come off of this, I'll be fine. But on a couple of hours ago, and a couple of hours after what happened, Crawford just beat the absolute crap out of Canelo. It was an incredible fight. Well, not an incredible fight, more like an incredible night for Crawford. Making history and all kind of jazz. Winning the whole fight. And by the way, smashes records in the stadium. But by the way, the Raiders are going to play on Monday night at the time of recording. So yeah, that'd be a tough sell, of course. And boxing would give it an incredible champion in Crawford, and unfortunately, boxing taken away an incredible champion in Ricky Hatton. So yeah, it's the two sides of the coin in all kind of life. So I know this is a Premier League centric show, but I wanted to do my thing, trying to air out some grievances and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, that pretty much does it. So anyways, I will leave you with a headline from today, and just pretty much sums up. We're gonna bookend the Man United misery with some more Man United misery. And Wayne Rooney, dear God, Wayne Rooney, former player. I admire this guy. The reason why I go to Man United was because of him. And unfortunately, he said, and unfortunately, yeah, He said on the BBC podcast, the Wayne Rooney Show, said, I wanted to be supportive and positive as I can be on the manager and the players. But it's very difficult to sit here and say we are seeing progress. And at least we're seeing things that we will get results in the near future. We're seeing none of that. And it is very difficult. There was an image toward the end of the game where I saw the Man United fans leaving. You could hear the fans singing Amaranth's theme. But I think that is so powerful that the Man United fans were leaving the game. You know the game is over. And I think they were disappointed in what they were seeing. United are facing 11% relegation to be relegated from the Premier League, and that is higher than 7.3%. Like, look at this. They have a slightly chance of being relegated from the Premier League than they have in a top 5 opportunity, and that's from Opta. It is just not looking good. And it just say, after Ten Hag was sacked and Roman coming, we're hearing how they were going to play, and it's going to change. I think if the manager is honest with himself, it has gotten worse. Quite a lot of league seasons that is relegation form. What is important when you're trying to implement a new style is to win games as well. You're doing that. I'm just saying right now, if you are the owner of Man United, you got to do 2 things: change the manager or change the system. And unfortunately for United, you cannot have both. And I think this is rock bottom. And unfortunately, I'm going to leave this show and just saying, if you're a Man United right now, you better get ready for championship football. And you better get ready fast. And if that happens, I will not blame a single soul if you wanted to turn off any Man United games for the rest of the season, because that is the way we are right now in the social media business. We just turn off these things and they don't care. So if Man United wanted to be championship football ready, that's all my jazz. And sadly, there's no hope. No hope for me, no hope for everybody. Yeah. Sorry for being pessimistic at the end. So enjoy your week, everyone. God bless everybody.